The best month for Bitcoin and crypto in 2024. We are already off to a good start as Bitcoin is over $63,400, which alts are getting ready to rally. Should you have your money in Bitcoin or the altcoin markets? We'll have that discussion. Also, an update on the Ethereum ETF. Looks like July 2nd is not the date. So what is the new date to look out for the official launch of the Ethereum spot ETF? Also, speaking of launches, the ASI token merge has officially begun. Phase 1 is underway. We did do a video on that earlier. So if you're joining us from that video, welcome. Also got some macro news to share with you. A big move by Sony as they have entered into the cryptocurrency arena. What does that mean? And Avalanche. Is Avalanche super undervalued? We'll have that discussion on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel. We take old, boring, stale information and repackage that whole thing up in a fun and sexy way.
Did I just hear you crack open a Red Bull?
I did just crack open a Red Bull, bro. Boy, ready. You know what? Bitcoin cracked over 63,000. I crack open a Red Bull. We gonna do this damn thing, man. You know what? I've been talking about it all week last week. I was like, bro, the bounce is coming, bro. We're going to be back to 65,000 and here we are.
It was a juicy bounce. You know what's crazy? We take a look at the weekly, right? Let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart on the weekly. We were looking like we were going to close red. And then in comes the Sunday pump. And we closed the candle green. Now, one thing to note here, this is very, very important. If you take a look at candlesticks, okay? And so candlesticks give you a lot of really good information right off the bat, right? So you see large bodies, price action, and in this case on the weekly, was very strong, right? When you see big wicks, think of it like a tug, right? Or what is it called? Tug of war, right? Bears are trying to push the price down. Bulls are trying to push the price up. Price closes where it opened. Take a look at the last time we had a hammer candle, right? And so a hammer candle is a long wick to the downside with a small body, and the wick has to be around 2 to 3 times the size of the body. And now once this candle here shows up at the bottom or top of a trend, it's typically a reversal signal. We take a look here. This was back the week of April 29th. We saw a downtrend from around 71.5. The wick brought us all the way down to 56.2, but we closed in the green and we closed above where we opened, and we had a rally the following weeks, although we did come down a little bit here, but from bottom to top, we had a rally of about 18%. What did we just see this past week close? And I stand corrected, it did not close green, but it did print a hammer again, as you can see here, wick all the way down to 58.4. The candle opened, the weekly candle last week opened at 63,000, closed at 62.7. Are we going to see another 18 to 20% rally? If we do, we should see Bitcoin's price breach $74,500 plus. If we zoom out to the daily, we take a look at price action on the daily for BTC. This looks very good. We had a nice big candle 2 days ago or yesterday with follow through on volume. If we throw on our cloud, you can see here some potential immediate resistance on the lower bound of this cloud, which is right around $64,200. But we know what Bitcoin has done before. We could literally print one candle and break through this cloud, and the resistance will be flipped to support. If we do break into the cloud, the next level of resistance you'll be looking at is around $67,800. If we do get rejected, I'd expect for us to settle in between $61,800 and $62,000. So price action looks good for BTC. What's your thoughts on the market, Robin? The sentiment? Big pump yesterday from around 60K to 63.5. We are currently sitting at 63.6. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Bullish, bro. Hyper bullish. No, hey, we've been talking about it. We've consolidated for 3 months now at 60 to 70K. Briefly over 70K when we were at testing those all-time highs. Briefly broke the all-time high. But realistically, 60 to 68,000 is where we've been at for 3 months. And this channel, historically, when you trade sideways, at least relatively recent in this last bull market, when we've consolidated for this particular time range, we've seen massive breakouts. And you know what? We're post-halving. We're in a bull market. We're not going to trade sideways for months and months and months and months and months. It's not going to be a year of consolidation trading sideways. That's what happens in a bear market. We're not in a bear market. You agree, right, David? We're not in a bear market. So we're in a bull market, and you don't get 6-month consolidations in a bull market. You might see it for a year, 8 months, 6 months in bear markets, but you don't see it in the bull market. So the breakout is intimate. We're just trying to figure out, when is this thing going to take off? And I think it's here. I truly do. And it's not just some bullish moon boy perspective. I think that we're going to be over 65K by the end of the week. I think that we're going to be back up over 70K by the end of the month. You know, we're in, July. I think by August we're over 70K. What do you think? 70K by the end of the month at some point, sometime this month?
I think we get 70. It'll be sooner.
Yeah, I think it's gonna pop off for the next 2 weeks. But
I mean, you mentioned range bound, right? I mean, take a look here. 121 days going back from this was back on February 28th, and we really have been range bound. And this range is about an 18% range with maybe 2 deviations. The one where we dipped under the range, where we wicked all the way down to that 56, and the one where we made our all-time high at around $74,000. Other than that, it's just been bouncing from one range to the other. Now, you can still make money on this type of price action during markets. You just sell the top of the range or short the top of the range and long the bottom of the range until we get that breakout with follow through on volume. But I said in the beginning, is July going to be the most bullish month we've had for Bitcoin and crypto thus far in 2024? We take a look here. What have we seen in 2024 so far? Our biggest month was February, 43.5% in the green. January started flat. We have 43% in February, 17% in March. We had a 15% drawdown in April, 11% gain in May. And then June was negative. And if you take a look historically, outside of 2 years, when we have a red June, we have a green July and vice versa. And July, actually, when you look at the median return, is the third most bullish month of the entire year. We take a look at in past bull markets in 2021, July brought us 18% gains in Bitcoin. The year prior, 2020, coming out of the pandemic, 24% gains. We take a look back in 2017, 18% gains. And even during the bear market of 2018, we saw a 20% green day for Bitcoin in the month of July. I'm expecting between 15 to 20% gains in the month of July. Now, will it be higher than 43? Will it be the best month so far in 2024? What are your thoughts?
I think so.
You think we'll be over 43% gains in July?
From today?
From right now.
That puts us at 90,000, 100,000?
Let's take a look.
No, I don't think we're going to get there.
No? So then your answer is no, not yes.
No, not. I know it's going to be bullish. 40-some percent, I think it's. That puts us right at 100K. I don't think we can.
91.4. You don't think so? By the end of July? Think about all you got going on, right? Q2 and half one have ended. Okay. We are now in the latter half of the year. Typically, Q3 is very bullish. You have fiscal year coming to an end in the month of October, right? October 1st is a new fiscal year. So you start to get, if there's a gap in spending and they have to, companies or even governments have to spend a certain amount of money, they got to do it. That money is allocated. If you don't spend it, it goes away. It doesn't get rolled over into the next one. You have another round of earnings. Are we going to see big earnings? During the summer, people spend money. They're vacationing, right? So GDP numbers might be up. We had more Fed meetings. And so a lot of potential bullish things are happening. You have the ETH ETF coming. You have just I mean, it's a
I'll
lot of things you can
I'll
point to,
say
right?
this: traditional markets, Wall Street generally takes off in the summer. So I mean, it takes a break in the summer, and so there's always kind of this saying that like you buy in May and then walk away, and you come back after the summer, and that's when the investing really kicks off. And so with that idea there, take a look at Tesla stock. Tesla's up over 6% just today. Like, and that's one of the largest companies.
7%.
Is it 7% now? This morning is 6%. And so the move that Tesla made since last week to now absolutely exploded.
Dude, you could have picked. I'm looking at a Tesla chart because you told me to. Tesla, you could have picked up Tesla at $138 back on April 22nd. And you would be up right now. If you sold, you'd be up 53%. This is from a top company that's in the S&P that is the driver and leader of the tech industry, so to say. And so there's always opportunities to have. And that is why when the markets are down, not only do we continue to stream and do our research, but we become even more bullish, right? You take a look at price action versus what is happening on chain, what is happening with the projects. If things are continuing to happen and go in the same direction and prices suppressed, those are great opportunities to either add to or open new positions in projects that maybe you're looking at Bitcoin at 71K. You're like, damn, I missed it. You could have picked some up at 60. Could have had buy orders in at 58. You talk about a project like Caspa, right? It's at almost 20 cents. You could have picked it up at 14 cents, 15 cents. And so these are all opportunities that you should keep your eye on. Just because it's a bull market doesn't mean you have to stop adding or DCAing or opening positions. It's times like these with these big drawdowns and boring periods where a lot of people really stack up their positions. That way, when we do get that massive rally in the bull market, you're well positioned. And so, no.
Yeah, I just think the markets right now, or the markets historically, summertime, not too great. And currently, I just wouldn't put a lot of weight into the ETF. I think at least not enough weight to carry us to 91,000. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean 91,000. I think by the end of the month we're over 80,000. I think by the end of July we're over 80,000, 83, 84. I just don't know about quite as high as 90,000. I think 90,000 is coming before September for sure. What does the chat think? Do you think that Bitcoin this month will hit $90,000 within the next 30 days? I'll put a 1 in the chat if you think Bitcoin will be over 90,000 at some point in time this month. Put a 2 in the chat if you think that Bitcoin will not get to 90,000. Curious to
So
see.
you're a no?
Yeah, I'm a 2 on this one. I don't think Bitcoin gets to quite 91,000. I think 83 to 86, I think is where it'll be the height for the mark for this month.
What I can tell you is July is going to, I'm fairly confident in saying July is going to close green, right? Look at everything happening historically, sentiment. I mean, yeah. I do want to go over the ETF chart here real quick. So Friday, finally, BlackRock woke up again. God, it's been a while. Look at this, Robin. Look at these paltry numbers. Going back to June 14th, 1.5 million. Let's call it a 0. 0, 0, 1.5, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And finally, $82.4 million flowed into the BlackRock ETF for BTC. 25 million flowed out of Fidelity. 42.8 million flowed into the ARK ETF. Everything else was 0. Grayscale saw a small outflow of 27.2 million, which brought our net cumulative total to $73 million worth of inflows. We know we shared the news last week, a couple weeks ago. Morgan Stanley is opening up access to the spot Bitcoin ETF to all their investors, all their retail investors. $1.4 trillion that they manage, all of that will now have access to the Bitcoin ETF, and that is one asset manager. That is not all of them. That is not your bank, JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America. They haven't even started yet. So very bullish. Then we have this interesting post here on X from Bitcoin Magazine. Forbes staff said Bitcoin Maxi is looking for an opportunity to buy a dip. We're handed one on a silver platter with this recent price dip. I mean, that was a decent sized dip, right? We go back to the Bitcoin chart here. Take a look at the dip that we just had for BTC. That going back to June 7th, okay, Friday, June 7th, it's been a downtrend. And the move from top to bottom, from wick to wick, was around 18%. That's pretty significant, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to say, are we going to see another 18 to 20% drawdown from Bitcoin or crypto in this market cycle? But could this potentially have been really the final chance to get Bitcoin at that 60K level? What do you think?
Until we get to the backside of the bull market, I would lean that direction. I'm not quite sure if if I had to put a percentage on it, I say there's 70% chance we're no longer under 60K anymore. And so I think this, to mention, I do think there's a high likelihood that the 70K or the 60K is cemented, right? Until we get on the backside of the bull market. Now, how low will Bitcoin drop? I'm not sure. Depends on how high we get, because I think with more volatility, you get more shock to the upside and downside, right? So if we saw Bitcoin, let's just say in a pretty bullish scenario, let's say it got to $450,000. I think that's kind of on the more optimistic side, right? Don't you think almost $250,000 Bitcoin's pretty advantageous, right? Yeah. So if that were to happen, but it wouldn't surprise me. Bitcoin has made some giant moves. You know, there's a lot of big narratives. I mean, you have nation states. I mean, you could have an arms race between different countries. You could have legal tender. Anyways, we could find ourselves in a situation where we get to $500,000 Bitcoin. But I would be pretty confident that if we did run up that high, you have an extremely overheated market with a lot of leverage. And I do think that the fall from grace there would be pretty dramatic, right? If we saw Bitcoin get to, say, 120,000 this bull market, let's say it was a pretty mundane bull market, the top of Bitcoin, 120,000. Then at that point, I don't think we go under 60K anymore. I don't think that the collapse of Bitcoin's price following the top of a bull market where you're trying to find, where is the bottom. I don't think it moves that dramatically because, there wasn't that much leverage in the system. But we get above $300,000 Bitcoin. I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised to see another $40,000 Bitcoin, another massive shakeup, right? A big deleveraging, because everyone's gonna be making a lot of money, and people get stupid when they make money. We saw what happened in 2020. People were making money; they're buying every NFT and speculative project.
Don't talk about me like that, man.
And so I'm just saying, if it just really depends on how much upside we get this bull market, depends on how much the downside. But for me, I feel pretty confident that 60K is our new support for the next.
I just want to remind everyone. I feel like sometimes we forget, right? We get into this, oh my God, Bitcoin's been down for 15 straight days or 15 days of negative price action. Sentiment turns to shit. Everyone on Twitter, oh my God, it's over. The top is just, this is last cycle, okay? 2020, we saw Bitcoin gain 131% in 27 days, then had a drawdown of around 30% in a matter of 14 days. And then it chopped sideways for maybe 5 days. And then it resumed its uptrend, 92% in just 24 days this time. Had another spill off of right around 27%. And then had another uptrend. And then we had that first top. And then the second one, you keep scrolling down here. Then we had a little bit of chop, down sideways. Everyone's like, oh my God, the market's over. Nope. Bitcoin rallied another 80% in 47 days. Then had a similar drawdown from top to bottom of around 25%. And then finally, on its way to its all-time high of around $69,000, Bitcoin gained 70% in 42 days. And so this is all par for the course And everyone's over here freaking out about a 20% drawdown. We've seen 30, 40% drawdowns. 25% drawdowns were the average in the last cycle. And the nastiest one we had was 18%. Everyone needs to calm down. That's all I got.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see when the altcoin market's going to rip, though. That's my thing, because Bitcoin's performed pretty well from the bottom. You know, say at the beginning of the year, you know, we've seen a 3x out of Bitcoin, and some of our favorite alts just haven't performed as strong as Bitcoin. There are exceptions, but I am not saying that there's no altcoins, because I mean, look no further than Solana, Toncoin, the AI projects, meme coins. Those have outperformed Bitcoin.
Near Protocol has,
but
Caspa has.
There's, I would say probably 60% of the altcoin market and the top altcoin plays just haven't really returned. I mean, we've seen Cardano underperform Bitcoin. We've seen XRP underperform. Tron, Avalanche has slowed down significantly. Yeah. And so Polkadot is falling behind. So a lot of these big community-driven,
they got a cool
and then
logo
Chainlink.
now.
I know you were thinking that Chainlink was going to be the top performing asset this altcoin market. It has slowed. No shade on the actual protocol, but from a price perspective and performance of altcoins compared to its competition, hasn't really fared as bullish as the narratives have painted it. CCIP is here to stay, but I think that retail hasn't really got behind it enough to rally the price, right? At least not get some parabolic runs. And so, is this coming? I think so. I think that once we see Bitcoin at that 70K range, I'm really excited when we're between 70 and 80,000. I think that kicks off the altcoin market, right? The spree. You get that altcoin summer, and I think that's what we're waiting for, because Bitcoin will be over all-time high. It'll be in price discovery. We'll made a nice support on 70,000+. And I think that people are going to feel very comfortable getting into alts at that point. They think that, hey, the market's turned. We're turning the corner on the bull market. We're above previous all-time highs. We're in price discovery. People are taking profits. They're reallocating. I think that the altcoin market is primed to pop off. So don't get left behind. Also, just a big shout out. We did have a bunch of super chats here. We had one for a meme coin. Also, we got meme coin beef as well from Crit Cats. And then Ricky Romero says, what's your price predictions for ASI? We did just do a video on that, which we released right before we went live. And, he wants to know, was $1.75, was that, or is $1.75 or $23? I'm looking at his super chat. I know it's at $1. What's $1? The ASI token's what, $1?
I think the Coinbase news kind of freaked some people out. Oh my God, they're not going to do the merger. They're not going to, but that's going to be fine.
They'll get there. The ASI token will be on Coinbase. It's just maybe it'll be maybe not in the first few weeks.
I don't know if they're going to. I agree. I just they came out and said they're not going to support the merge. Doesn't mean it won't be listed, right? They're just not going to do it for you, right? So. But in this video that I just showed you, that we uploaded earlier today, I pretty much give you a walkthrough of exactly what you need to do if you have Ocean, Singularity, and Fetch, with all the correct links and websites, so you don't fall victim to a scam and lose all your money. So if you haven't watched it yet, make sure to go watch it. Or if you have friends or family or anyone that is confused, you want to make sure they don't make a mistake, share this video with them. It is very, very important. Now, I do want to talk about Germany, Deutschland, yeah? There. Disappointed in myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
So they're sending another 1,500 BTC worth $95 million to exchanges. And so obviously, potentially for selling. My question is, well, maybe not for Germany, but for a government like the US who can just print dollars, why would you trade a hard commodity for more dollars that you can just print? Doesn't make any sense, but nonetheless, Germany, there's still the Mt. Gox FUD, but I did see a I did see an X thread talking about all the money that's going to be unlocked from Mt. Gox. Some of that can find its way into the altcoin market. So very interesting.
I always take this narrative as like, hey, Germany's selling 1,500 Bitcoin, but then, who is buying? Like, hey, there he is. So, as you have
Michael, welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. So as you get these large, either nations, it's weird saying nation states, right? But as you get these large players, institutions, or nation states selling off large allocations of Bitcoin, well, you have buyers on the other side. We have the ETFs. I mean, we sit here and look at these flows and analyze those, and the flows are delayed as well. So, these numbers that we're seeing are delayed by a day, sometimes 2 days. And so when we see the price move, they're not buying these, the BlackRocks and the Fidelities, they're not buying it real time on the floor. So, they're not trading over the weekend, obviously, not the ETFs. Now you can put in a pre-market, but what's happening is BlackRock and the other ETF providers, at the end of the day, Monday night, Monday afternoon, Tuesday afternoon, they're saying, hey, you know what? We need to acquire more Bitcoin in accordance to how much flows we had. And so, Germany, go ahead and sell. We'll go ahead and pick it up, or at least the ETF providers will. Michael Saylor will, other institutions. And so, maybe we'll see Tesla get back into a larger.
We know they still hold Bitcoin.
Yeah, they hold Bitcoin. And will we see more of that? And then also you got Dell. I know that's
Michael Dell.
Yeah, did you see he had a poll put up? Did you see that?
Yeah. And it was overwhelmingly Bitcoin.
Yeah, so he was saying like what's
the most important?
Yes. But he's asking the question. So just simply discussing the narrative and simply saying like, hey, what is important to you? Having Bitcoin as an answer is part of the discussion now. So, how long until, look at this. How long until Dell starts to acquire Bitcoin, right?
Robin, this is 64,000 votes.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty big.
You think Dell as a company starts acquiring some Bitcoin from a corporate standpoint?
I'm not sure, but there's a lot of speculation that Mr. 100 is in fact Michael Dell. I'm not going to speculate on that. I don't know if that's true or not. Maybe it is. If it was him, would it surprise me? No. But I think when you look at companies like MicroStrategy and you get to see what they have done with their company valuation, how much money they were able to raise, how much debt they were able to raise, and take that money and buy the Bitcoin, and how, I think he's put on a masterclass of how to bring value to your shareholders, to your company, and really plant the flag of longevity of your company staying around through the tech revolution, through everything AI, everything that's going to change over the next 10, 20 years. I think as Bitcoin gains in value, as it gains in attraction, and people start covering him more and understanding him more, MicroStrategy is only going to grow in popularity, and people are going to look at Michael Saylor as the case study, and you'd be kind of stupid not to at least have a little bit of exposure to the best performing asset over the last 10 years. And so if that announcement comes out, I would not be surprised. Do I think they're going to do it? I'm not sure. I don't want to speculate on that. But I do want to speculate on is this, a Chainlink adoption update. This week, there were 12 integration of 6 Chainlink services across 8 different chains. They've onboarded 5 new projects and chains to their CCIP protocol, leading the way. You can see here from their from this little snapshot here. And then we have this very interesting. Did you see this?
No, I haven't.
Sergey Nazarov, he's a genius, bro. Very interesting. He talks about the number one question that he gets asked from institutions and large players about why they should tokenize anything. And listen to what he says. Just very interesting here.
The number one question or category of questions that I get from institutions is, where is the market for me to generate these tokenized assets? Who's going to buy the tokenized assets? And there are really two categories of answers to that. One category of answers is the public chain market, which has now surpassed $2.5 trillion. Personally, I feel that once we went past 200 billion as an industry, this whole industry was an inescapable kind of trajectory and velocity to become a very important global market. 2.5 trillion is a very large market for any set of financial institutions to be interested in. This is why there are now ETFs. This is why BUIDL exists from BlackRock, because the public chain market size has grown sufficiently large to merit those products to arrive on chain. The second category is private bank chain value and usage. Private bank chain value and usage is appearing pretty much this year, and I think it's going to appear more and more over the course of the following year. This is where user accounts within banks and institutional user accounts are placed on chain. Their holdings represented in stable coins, tokenized deposits, central bank digital currency, whatever form of payment. And also a larger and larger percentage of the bank's assets that it issues and creates and manages being on chain as well. And then you arrive in a scenario where these two groups can exchange, right? You have a form of payment, you have an asset, they're both on chain. The challenge this presents is how to connect those chains in a way that transactions can happen in a compliant way, which requires a very large amount of different types of data and a very secure cross-chain connection.
And what is that very secure cross-chain connection with data? It's none other than Chainlink and CCIP.
Yeah.
So, I mean, these are the conversations that the smartest people in our space are having with trillion-dollar asset managers, trillion-dollar economies, trillion-dollar markets. And so I just like, how could you not be bullish on crypto, man? It's crazy. What are your thoughts on what Sergey said there, Rob?
He's well connected when it comes to the financial industries, and they've worked with Swift. I know they had a joint keynote speech down in Consensus with Chainlink, Swift, and it's very interesting to hear, because this is essentially this is backstage conversation, right? This is the meeting room, the boardrooms. This is the upcoming partnerships. This is what is financial industries. What are they looking for, and what are the questions they're asking? And my man Sergey's over here telling it as it is, and he's saying that, like, hey, is there basically financial institutions, banks? They're saying, hey, can we make money off of this? Like, we understand there's a product here. We understand you're trying to sell us something. I mean, essentially, if you're sitting down with Chainlink, you're sitting down with a blockchain company. You're saying, like, hey, what can you do for me? Is essentially what the question is being asked. And if he comes to the table like, hey, look, $2.5 trillion industry. That's just locally in blockchain, and this is going to expand ever more throughout the regular finance through tokenization and bank accounts. And that's not, I truly don't believe this is just some theoretical like science that the man's putting together. I think that he's saying that, like, hey, look what's happening. Look at the transitioning that we're seeing. Perhaps it's not in the major 5 banks that operate here in the US that everyone's familiar with, but little by little it's happening with smaller banks, and the shift is here. And I think that once we remove the SEC's roadblocks on the banks, the floodgates are gonna break open, because you're not gonna find custodial services and blockchain services on one major bank. You're not going to only have it from Bank of America, and everyone else is going to just fall by the wayside and say, you know what, let Bank of America handle this. We don't want action, right? We see what happened with the asset managers, right? The asset managers came in, BlackRock came in, and they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to have a tokenized Bitcoin. What every other asset manager except for Vanguard jumped on the ship, right? They all did the same thing. So once the SEC kind of gets out of the bank's way, once JP Morgan or Bank of America or Wells Fargo or one of these large banks, once they go all in on custodial services and blockchain services, they're all going to follow suit. That's coming within a year. I promise you that. With the presidential election, even if, let's just say, Trump doesn't win, which he's leading the polls. If he wins, he's pretty progressive. Sounds like he's going to usher in progressive legislation for crypto and Bitcoin. But even if he doesn't win, I think that the current executive office has woken up to the fact that the crypto community is here and they are yelling.
We got money.
Yeah, they're yelling. First of all, they got money, but they're yelling like, "Hey, man, like this is not going overseas. Like you need to start doing something about it now." And if the Biden office or whoever the hell they wheel into the Democratic chair, whoever that is, they are going to, if they're going to win, they're going to need voters that are bullish on crypto, right? They're going to need the crypto votes because these swing states are thousand.
And that's the thing, Rob. Like when you're in crypto, at least for me personally, I don't give a crap what side you lean politically. Like when we get in and we talk about crypto, we're in a room. I'm not going to ask you, well, are you Republican or no one gives a shit. And if you think about it, we say this all the time. There are more Americans that hold crypto than have dogs. And so we've spoken with our voices. We've spoken with our money, right? With the Fair Shake PAC, right? One of the largest donators to one of the campaigns, right? Donald Trump's campaign. It was one of the primaries, whatever it is. We're throwing money out there. We're being loud. We're working with the institutions that are also very loud and throwing money. And I just look at, you brought up banks and stable coins. I just look at it from a personal, anecdotal standpoint. When we get paid from some of our sponsors, we get paid in stable coins. And so what I have to do is I have to give them a Coinbase address. I get my stable coin on Coinbase. I sell it for cash, and then I withdraw it to the account. Of course, Coinbase takes a fee. There's a spread there, depending on the amount of money, $30, $100, $60. Do you think the banks are going to leave that kind of money on the table? If I can give a USDC address that goes directly to my bank account, I can use that money to pay bills. That takes away one intermediary, which is probably going to save me money and make the banks money.
Yeah.
So it's just that's just one use case, one thing I can think of now that I've personally gone through. And I'm sure you watching, you can think of plenty of times where you could have easily just, hey, if I can just use a stable coin to pay a bill, if I can use a stable coin to save money, if I can just have it next to my bank account, my checking account.
The onboarding and offboarding of cash to crypto is annoying. You know, you can get through it, but it's annoying, and there's a lot of delays on there as well, even outside of the fees. And so, I mean, imagine a scenario, and this is not some far-fetched like dream world here, but just think about a scenario where very soon, instead of having to move your money from your bank account and waiting for it to clear at an exchange, you can just buy directly from your bank. Now, whether or not that's services you want to use or if that's the intermediary you want to go through, it is an option to remove one more point of, one more transaction, right? And so what we're going to see is like, hey, my direct deposit just hit my bank. Let me just buy some Bitcoin right then and there without moving it anywhere, right? Or, hey, I just deposited $500 into my ATM machine, and now let me go buy some crypto. I don't have to wait for it. I don't have to move it. And it's just, it's all in real time. And if you want to use your bank as your custodial service, if you want to say, hey, you know what? I don't trust myself with this seed phrase thing. I'm new to the game. You know what? Bank of America already keeps my money for my checking account and my savings. They already have managed my 401k. Why not just buy my Bitcoin
and they got the backing of the government.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve. So.
Yeah. So, I think that's an appropriate service for a large percentage of Americans. And then I think this also translates globally as well. What we're seeing here in the U.S., we will see in Europe as well. What one does, the other tends to follow when it comes to finance. And so if you get full banking services here in the U.S., you'll find the full banking services available in France and UK and other countries as well. So
happy you mentioned France, the UK. We're going to talk about the MiCA bill. Went live. It's official. But first, I want to give a big thank you to our channel sponsor. Today's show is brought to you by Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how Cam's can help your business scale and grow and maximize your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, they have been an absolute asset to our team here with our production. If it wasn't for them, you're probably watching in some crappy 720 or 1080p, but you're watching it in crystal clear 4K because of Cam's. If you want to learn more, click the link in the description of this video. As mentioned, Mika is live, and guess what, Robin? USDC is the only major stablecoin, or Circle is the only major stablecoin issuer to achieve compliance. So the license enables Circle to issue both the Euro stablecoin and the dollar stablecoin through their regulated French entity in a Mika compliant way. We're going to see more of this. You also talk about transaction fees. Could we start paying for groceries in stablecoin? Could we start paying our bills in stablecoin? We know these credit card companies, Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover, they charge a 2 to 4% fee, much, much lower if null and void when you go with stable coins. Can those savings be passed on to the consumer? I know it's minuscule, 2 to 4% doesn't sound like a lot, but guess what? Our CPI headline inflation is, according to government, it's 2 to 4%. So something to keep an eye on.
It would be pretty damn simple if I can just send somebody Tether through my bank to their bank in Europe. I do have, my daughter lives in Israel, and it's a pain in the ass to send any money over there. And I've used the Tron network before, Ethereum, and so if I could just send some Tether, like, bro, that would be such a remedy. I know this is with Circle. I mean, Circle, Tether, it's all the same to me.
It would kind of be like Zelle on steroids, right?
Yeah, exactly that. You have international movement of money in real time versus right now you want to move a large sum of money internationally. It's through a wire transfer, and that's a nightmare.
And expensive.
Yeah. And it's expensive both ends too. You got to send a wire transfer. There's a fee for the sender and the receiver. And then obviously you have they say a 2 to 3 business day. Generally, Swift's gotten a little faster. These wire transfers tend to hit within the 24 hours now, but still painfully slow compared to the 1 minute that you have for a stable coin. I'm just very curious, and if Tether's going to throw their hat in the ring, or is this going to be just territory for Circle? Are they going to make up ground? Because Tether right now is over 3 times the size of Circle.
Try 4 times.
Yeah, it's substantial. So it's I'm just curious. Circle really fell pretty hard last bull market, and
Circle fell because of the bank, Silicon Valley Bank, right?
Yeah,
it depegged for 3 days. It was over the weekend, then it came back, which I think was very bullish because it depegged, which is obviously not good, but we know the reason for it. And when the bank reopened, everything was there. So which means that the money they say was backing each stablecoin was actually there. And so I think that really put a lot of people at ease as far as, oh my God, is everything back? I do want to talk a little macro, then we'll get into the crypto markets here. So Roaring Kitty is sued. Officially, there's a class action lawsuit. Has been sued for securities fraud over his role in promoting GameStop. I'm not a lawyer, but the dude literally just posted memes and short clip videos and talked about his positions. I don't know how that is fraud, but Nancy Pelosi entering positions before she votes on a bill is not. Interesting. We also have this key events this week on the macro side. June manufacturing numbers come out today. Jerome Powell is speaking tomorrow. The JOLTS job report is also tomorrow. Fed meeting minutes comes out Wednesday. You can see really what happened behind closed doors, what they talked about. Are we going to see a rate cut? Stock market is closed on Thursday for 4th of July. We will also be closed on Thursday for 4th of July. We will not have a live show, but we'll have a video for you to watch on 4th of July. And then the June jobs report comes out Friday. And then one more thing here. The bond market has gone absolutely nuts. Robin, look at this gap. This is the U.S. 10-year Treasury note. In a day, Robin, just this massive gap from around 4.34 to 4.4%. Doesn't seem like a lot, but this is not normal. And so, of course, a lot of people are speculating, does this mean a recession is coming? is now up over 20 basis points since Friday's close. Bond markets are trading like rate cuts got canceled and inflation is on the rise. Are bond markets telling us something? Of course, these are all probabilities, and then just look at historically. It doesn't mean the economy. We know the economy is broken with fiat currency, but just something to keep in mind. And with that being said, I'm going to send it over to Rob. We're going to take a look at the markets. What is up? What is down? Rob?
Well, we got Bitcoin holding steady at 63.5. I won't go into any detail. We kind of track that movement at the beginning of the show. But getting into the altcoins, the meme sector has rallied hard. I don't know how else to tell you guys how to make money, but I think I've done this 3 times now in the last 60 days.
Tell us again.
Well, if Bitcoin drops significantly, -5 to 7% on the downside, meme coins sell off 50%. And then the first to bounce back is the meme coins. So, I mean, just from a very basic trade perspective, or swing trade, just buy and exit. I mean, you could pretty much put in $1,000 on a meme coin when Bitcoin draws down over 5%. Just say, hey, Bitcoin's down 5%. What's the top meme coin? Pick Bonk or Pepe, and then throw a grand in there. Wait it out 2 weeks. Bitcoin's back up, and next thing you know, you don't even have to wait 2 weeks. Realistically, probably 3 or 4 days. And then next thing you know, you're up another 50%. So, Dog with Hat, just on look at these weekly returns, man. Dog with Hat 38%, Brett 25%. And this is only in the last 24 hours. So I'd expect these to make up a little bit more ground. Bonk up 20%. And then, Ethereum name service is something that's been moving. And I think that's in anticipation for the ETF coming out as well. But back to the big gainers on the 24 hours. You do have Multiverse X, formerly known as Elron. This thing is, really fallen from grace for a little bit, but maybe we get a resurgence of Multiverse X. Any thoughts? Any quick thoughts on Multiverse X? Put much into it?
If you're bullish on the metaverse, sure.
Yeah,
but are you bullish on the metaverse?
No,
me neither. No. I think it was a bad move.
Yeah, I just don't like the branding, dude.
Not as bad as Meta.
Yeah,
$10 billion a year for 10 years to rebrand.
Yeah. So you did have a Akash network up. So this is an interesting AI play.
Definitely bullish on Akash.
Pretty bullish. This is number 77. I look at it from competition is consolidated into one option, which is the ASI token. And, if you're going to have a diversified play on AI, what other token are you going to go with? I think Akash and Near Protocol are the two obvious winners. Akash really just laser focused on AI.
I would like
Near Protocol is a little bit more broad.
I would like to throw 2 more in that ring. I would like to throw ICP and Arweave in there as well.
Yeah, but the thing is they have a focus on it, but that's not their main focus. Akash is all in on AI. So I just think that this is going to be one of the strongest performing altcoins in the next, I would say, 4 months. Something to keep an eye on. Small enough market cap for it to rally. We did see recent highs at $6. Could it 2x from where it is now? I absolutely think so. I think that $7 is right around the corner within the next 60 days. And that's just simply because there's just less AI tokens to grab up. So if you're sitting here saying, you know what, this AI thing is really taking off, which it has been, and I want to get a position on it. I think that Akash is a no-brainer here, and I think it's gonna win out pretty heavy this bull market. But some other tokens, we have Caspa, up 21.
KRC is live.
Yeah,
it's live. It was not the best rollout.
Yeah,
but hey,
this Caspa up 20% on the week, over 18 cents. Essentially in a price discovery. I mean, if you take a look at its all-time chart here, and this thing is just chopping up and to the right. Back in October, it was at 5 cents, currently at 18 cents. And we're testing price discovery. Like where are we going to land at? Take a look at the 1 month. I mean, we did briefly cross 19 cents or 19 and a half cents. And, we'll be over 20 cents. Obviously, that's going to be a pretty big psychological number to cross. I think we do go up and test 20 cents a couple times. Maybe we don't break through quite just yet, but this is obviously one of our favorite projects that we're keeping an eye on. And is this a good buying opportunity? I think so. I do think that $1 is probably somewhere we'll see by the end of the year. You think $1 Caspa by the end of the year is something that you're expecting?
I'd say closer to like 70 cents. Yeah. 70, 80 cents. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was $1.
Yeah.
You're about to see a lot of tokens start being listed and launched on Caspa. And why, like you might be asking, well, what does that mean for the Caspa token? If you're minting a token on a chain, you need those tokens to pay for the fees. And so if I want to mint or if I want to buy the Nacho token or whatever token is on KRC, I have to have Caspa to be able to pay for the fees or to be able to mint the token. And so you're going to see buy pressure from that. You're going to see the speculators. The community's pretty big. And so, yeah, I'm super bullish on Caspa. I would not be surprised if Cas was at $1 by the end of the year. Yeah. As long as the markets are trending as a whole.
One token that we're a big fan of as well that has kind of taken a little break is ICP. Obviously one of our favorite projects as well. I know that we've done several videos on ICP, but currently at $8, we did briefly see this over $16, almost $20. And so, when I look at a chart like this, I feel like it's on the back end of a recent price rally, and this $8 support I think is pretty. I don't see it dropping much further than $8. I mean, I know that if you're a Caspa holder, maybe you're questioning like what's going on. We sold off. If you look back at the 1 month, you can see that it is down and to the right. You might be kind of questioning the market here for ICP in the short term. But I think that this is kind of your last chance to get it under $10. What do you think? Last chance to get ICP under $10 this month? Because I think that I would say August moving forward, you probably won't get it under $10 anymore.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at what price action has done here on ICP. So we've been at this discount zone. This is on the daily chart. We've dipped into this discount zone a few times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And prices reacted very positively. We did get all the way down to $7.45. We are seeing a little bit of consolidation. If I throw this price action concepts from Lux Algo off and we throw in our Bollinger Bands, we're starting to see tightening bands. Last time we saw this, we saw pretty much choppy price action and then a big move to the downside. I would expect the next move to be to the upside for ICP. A lot of things happening. We know Utopia is live. The only thing with ICP that a lot of people point to is their tokenomics, which is not the greatest. But when you have upward pressure of people needing the tokens on top of the people speculating on the tokens, that matters a lot less. It's more prevalent in bear markets when price action and sentiment is negative. But in the midst of a bull market, I do think this might be the last time. I mean, $8 to $10 if you're looking to accumulate something like ICP, I think is a great area. I mean, what are we going to do? Wait till it gets to $7 again? Yeah. Versus leaving all that money on the table if it does rally up that 20, 40, 50, $60. You got to look at, is it worth waiting? What's my upside potential? What's my opportunity cost of not entering here just to wait for a 5 to 10% better entry? These are things you got to keep in mind. Do want to share some ETH news? We do have an update on the Ethereum ETF. Bloomberg ETF expert moves estimated Ethereum ETF approval date following the new SEC comments. Likely won't be greenlit until after 4th of July, potentially on Friday the 5th. But a lot of these experts, including James Seyfert and Eric Balchunas, are saying that July 8th, which is that Monday, is where we should potentially be looking. I did mention Sony. Sony Group acquires Amber Japan, officially steps into crypto exchange arena. Don't have anything highlighted here, but They're pretty much now have access and exposure to an exchange. And this is from Wu Blockchain. Sony Group, one of Japan's largest companies, has acquired Amber Japan, officially entering the crypto exchange field. Sony's business includes games, music, cameras, with a total market value of $100 billion. Singapore market maker Amber Group acquired Japan's regulated crypto trading platform Decurrent in early 2022 and changed its name to Amber Japan. Later, due to the collapse of FTX, Amber Group fell into trouble and was suspected of a complete debt-to-equity transaction with Venbushi. And now Sony has taken over.
I'm very curious because Sony has really lost a lot of steam in the last 20 years. You know, there you mentioned includes games, music, and so games. They did have an early presence in console gaming back in the 90s, 2000. Haven't seen much of that lately either. Music obviously has gone digital, so the Sony Walkman, CD players, those are relics now, right? And so where are they replacing that revenue? We know that music's gone to streaming services and it's gone to Spotify and others that are very similar in the business model. So that leaves cameras and even televisions. Televisions they've shrunk dramatically.
Samsung is definitely
Samsung, LG, and a few others have really risen to the top there. And so, what industry is going to have a breakthrough from Sony? What industry can they break into? Maybe it is crypto. Maybe it's exchanges. I think that's
it makes sense.
A very progressive stance. They work in digital technologies. I mean, that's Sony, right? Music, games, cameras. Cameras are all digital now as well. So yeah, I mean, they have a war chest. They have money. They can buy up companies. They can buy up exchanges. And I think that they're entering into the right time, right? I mean, I think this is probably the last time you're gonna be able to buy an exchange because at this point moving forward, exchanges are all going to start making money just because of how much onboarding is happening and the movement of the market. So
very bullish. Sony, big company. The market in Asia, massive, and so we're bullish. That'll do it for the show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you watch our Fetch ASI merge video that came out earlier this morning. With that being said, Rocco, thank you all. Hope you had a great day. Come back tomorrow. We got Magic Internet Money joining us to break down the charts. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video on your way out, and we'll see you tomorrow. Until then, peace.
Sin City, crypto. Everybody know what we here for. Entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in. For big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't I? Don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.